Perfect.
Trueshare wins the Kipco British Champions Long Distance Cup in the hands of Hollie Doyle. Here's Brando with one master and half power. Glen Shield far side, Brando on the near side. Oh, it's tight.
Hollie's done it. Glen Shield wins and Hollie is a Group 1 winning rider. What a story this is.
Well, Hollie, with Champions Day just around the corner, I'm assuming that Ascot is your favourite racecourse, is it?
Yeah, it definitely is my favourite, yeah.
Is that just because of the success you've had here, or is that because of the way you actually like riding the track?
Yeah, I've obviously had some really good days here and a lot of luck, but I think it's just such a beautiful track to ride and it's very fair.
And last year, just go back over Trueshan, who must be your favourite horse, just to, if you remember, how were you going? So coming out of Swindley, how are you going?
Coming out of Swindley Bottom, I remember he actually locked on. You know, he was very settled early on, and then three parts of the way onwards, the further I was going, the better. And I'm thinking, here we go. You know, I went into the race, and Alan had told me to ride him to run well and get a place, nick a place. And I was going, the further I was going, the better. And I had Stradivarius on my inside. I kept looking over.
Did Frankie was he giving you a shout? Was Frankie giving you a shout?
No, not at this point, no. But I was going so well. I just remember, you know, turning in home between the 4 and the 3, and you know, 3 down, and just took me to the front and away.
Trueshan, who's now unleashed down the outside by Hollie Doyle, and Trueshan comes through to head Fujera Prince, and Trueshan enters the final furlong with a growing advantage, and racing up towards the line, this progressive staying horse. Trueshan wins the Kipco British Champions Long Distance Cup in the hands of Hollie Doyle.
I felt like I was galloping across a golf course on him. He just handled it so well. No, true stayer. For a horse that stays that distance, he's actually got a few gears, which is quite rare really, isn't it?
So where were you watching when you won the other day in France?
I took myself out the house because I didn't want to sit there all day riding myself, watching every race in the country. So I actually watched it on my phone, and you know, I was obviously sick. Felt like I was going to be sick, but I was just delighted for the owners and Alan and James Doyle as well. He's such a gentleman, and couldn't have happened to anyone nicer, really.
Yeah. Well, coming to the bend now, if previous is anything to go by, you'd probably murdered Frankie on this bend, would you?
No,
that's what you like to do.
I always, you know, you don't want to be too wide turning in for home, really. I feel like, you know, it's quite a long sweeping bend, and you don't want to give away too much ground, so you're always still trying to keep a hold of them, really.
It's interesting, though. Well, you tell me, but from the crowd's point of view, you think coming around the bend is where the race really starts, but it's basically, you want to get a posse here, don't you?
Yeah, like between the 4 and the 3, the race really starts to develop, and it's quite a deceiving turn for home. Although it's quite a sharp running, it's pretty stiff, so it's kind of, you don't want to be committing too soon, but you don't want to be letting them get away from you.
You do get nervy?
Do you know what, I get, I anticipate
You're a cool
it a bit,
little
but
cookie, how you are.
No, not when I'm on the horse. No, I don't feel nerves really.
Do you not at all?
Not really.
When you're watching the paddock, you don't look nervous. I just wonder whether you just learned how to conceal it.
I think maybe in the morning time at home, maybe I'd be a bit twitchy, but when I'm at the races, I've got a job to do, and I feel quite content really.
Do you think you're improving as a rider? And can you still? Well, you were saying you had your first win in 2013, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, my first winner was in 2013 as an amateur. It's taken me a while to get to where I've got, but
I thought you'd
got a long way to go.
3 or 4 years. Yeah, no, but I thought you've been riding a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, no, I think I've obviously the last 3 or 4 years have been pretty good, and that's I've really picked up, but it's a bit of a struggle before that. I think the problem was I wasn't very good, and I knew it.
Yeah.
That's probably good, because I knew I needed to get better, and I didn't think I was the bee's knees when I wasn't. But I wouldn't change things, how they've happened for me, really.
Oxted clinging on from Glen Shield. Here's Brando as well, with one master and half power. Glen Shield far side, Brando on the near side. Oh, it's tight.
Glen Shield as well last year. He's been absolutely fantastic for you, but not in quite the same sort of form now.
Yeah, this year's been tricky with him, really. He's only had his ground probably once or twice, and at Royal Ascot he was only beaten a length by Dream a Dream, so I can't knock him for that. But the next 2 runs were on quick ground, which is really not what he wants. So we're hoping we can come back here on Champions Day and Well, see how he gets on. Hopefully he can replicate what he did last year. Would be nice.
Go on, talk us through what that was like to ride those sprinters. I know you love Trushan, but to ride a proper sprinter like that, it must be brilliant.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. The circumstances as well. We've been Archie's first Group 1 winner for Hambleton Racing, which are a huge supporter of our yard, and on Glenn, who is a horse I love very much. It was cool, yeah.
This straight course, is this an easy course to ride?
It's relatively straightforward, but also it's a very stiff mile.
You don't realise because you can see here, it looks flat from the stands.
From kind of 3.5 down, you run downhill for a furlong and a half, and then 2 out, it's stiff uphill again, and it's quite deceiving as well.
Even with those sprinters, you can't go kicking on here.
I find it quite hard to make the run in here because you're kind of giving everyone a lead and getting taken on a long way out. You're very vulnerable. So it takes a bit to win from the front, I reckon. I find it's an easier track to get a lead on.
So, looking up the track, Glenn Shield, how is he going here?
Yeah, he's been off the bridle since the free pole, so...
You've been driving the ears off him.
Yeah, you have to make every post winning post with Glenn. He's, I think the reason why he likes it here and goes well on the soft ground is he just completely outstays everything, really. He actually has run over 10 furlongs, so
really?
he get the trip well.
Yeah. And let's go through some of the others. Amatiaz that you won on here, you were always up there on him as well.
Yeah, I banged there on Amatiaz the whole way, and we didn't get very quick, and I just kind of slingshot him off that bend. It was a bit of a risky move because I was, they were closing in on me, but he's so tough, and he just held on that day, thankfully.
Amatiaz has just got to the front inside the last furlong. It's Amatiaz and Hollie Doyle. Amatiaz and dubious affair. Amatiaz and Hollie Doyle.
And Alan King as well. He's been pivotal in your career. Getting your first Royal Ascot winner.
Yeah, it's been a bit crazy really. Alan's been a huge supporter of me, and Scarlet Dragon that day at Royal Ascot was. Talk us through that. What was that like? He's an old monkey, and I hadn't ridden him for. I won the old Rowley Cup Mile on him as like a £5 claimer a few years ago, and I hadn't really ridden him that much in between. And I got back on him here, and I was thinking, oh, here we go. What's he going to do today? Because he is a bit of a monkey, and everything just literally felt perfect. He switched off straight away. Didn't pick the bridle up. Managed to get the splits up the straight, and he got up on the line, but he was cooperative that day. But we've had a few
well, that's just him though, isn't it? That's just him.
Yeah, it's just him. He's got so much ability, and you don't know what horse is going to turn up on the day.
I know you don't even like admitting it, but given your sort of stature and the way you are in the jockey's table, that you don't take anything for granted, do you?
No, I'm kind of worried about falling off the planet, really.
But it does. You see sportsmen do it.
Yeah,
don't
you see it happen. People have a good year or two, like I have, and then the next year they have a quiet year, and you don't see them again. So I'm always pretty conscious of not letting that happen.
I'm a terrible judge, but I think you're fairly safe on that front. I genuinely do. So, how do you improve? How do you?
I've got to improve my riding. Keep on improving my riding.
Well, what bit don't you like then?
Well, tactically, there's a lot more that I could be better at, and hopefully within the next few years I can get abroad where they ride tighter or sharper and mix things up a bit, and and get that experience.
So we're coming up into the final furlong now. And what was that like when you realised when you kicked clear here? What did that feel like? You think? Because you can see the big screen as well, can't you, when you're riding? Yeah,
on Trushan, I couldn't believe my eyes, and I was just gobsmacked completely as to how far clear he'd pulled. And I think a lot of people thought that was a fluke or a one-off, or he's a grand dependent horse, but he's proven now that he's not, is he?
Yeah, he's absolutely exceptional horse, isn't he? But so, were your mum and dad here?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
No, they've been in racing all their lives. Yeah. I think the last thing they want to do is go racing on a Saturday, to be honest.
Well, I don't know, it's a fair achievement when your daughter rides a Group 1 day.
Dad drives a lorry, so he's here at the races some days anyway, so he wouldn't really fancy a day out. But to be fair, Mum started coming on the big days a bit more, and she started to enjoy that, whereas a few years ago she couldn't think of anything worse.
But they must be so proud.
Yeah, obviously they're proud, and I think we're all in a bit of disbelief as to what's happened over the last few years.
Do you keep in touch? Because you're Leominster, aren't you?
Yeah,
Have you got any like school friends that you
yeah,
keep in
I've got
touch with?
yeah, I've got a few school friends there that I keep in touch with. I think they can't believe it really.
Well, Champions Day's been going for 10 years, Holly. What are your fellow riders? What does everyone think of Champions Day?
I think everyone looks forward to it. It's a great way to cap off the season, really. You know, the champion jockey and champion apprentice get crowned, and it's a nice day. It's a bit more, I suppose, relaxed than Royal Ascot. I suppose because of the time of the year.
Yeah, but it's always such. It is. You're right, because you've followed the horses all season. It's if you like, it's the crowning moment.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, it can be a bit of a lottery, and it's been a long season. Some horses have had a hard year, and I think anything can happen as well on the autumn ground.
Well, this is where you want to be, Holes, up to the famous Ascot finishing line. How many wins you had this year now?
I think I'm on 142 this year.
You say that quite very blasé the way you say it. That's brilliant, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good. I think I'm 10 winners behind last year, so hopefully I've got a bit of time to hopefully beat that.
Here comes the line. Rachel!
That's the break.
This is what it's all about. Holly, thanks ever so much. Literally, I genuinely mean that. I was at a do last night and I saw Rachel Blackmore.
Oh, yeah.
And she's such a nice girl. But you've done as much in my eyes for racing as she has for National Hunt racing. You're a real inspiration, and it was nice of you to walk the course and show me the ins and outs of being a flat jockey. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
Perfect.
Trueshan wins the Kipco British Champions Long Distance Cup in the hands of Hollie Doyle. Here's Brando with one master and half power. Glen Shield far side, Brando on the near side. Oh, it's tight.
Hollie's done it. Glen Shield wins, and Hollie is a Group 1 winning rider. What a story this is.